so look, y'all. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions, or really one main question as to like, Marcel, how do I see you everywhere? How do I see you in all these rooms, meeting with these, high level people, extinguished people, people that a lot of people admire, that a lot of people up to, look up to, like all these things, right? Man, how did you get in this room? How did you get in that room? How you all over the city, man? How, how, right? So this episode is gonna be a treat because I'm giving out how to build your $1 million network. Now look, before we get back to the show, I know y'all gonna love the masterclass, but I got to interject you for a minute because I know when you watch the show, you're gonna be like, man, this was a lot of information. I need to dial it back. I need the quick step tips. I need to get right to it. Well, I got an answer for you. But you can grab the ebook from the masterclass. You can grab the ebook on how to build you $1 million network probably in 30 days or less, if you really do the 3 steps correctly and in this fashion, right? You know what I'm saying? Identify who you are, right? Go out to the networking and the opportunities that are aligned with who you are. And lastly, execute. Put your pitch together, put these things together, and be prepared for the opportunity. But I know you're gonna need more help. You grab the ebook. The link is in the description. You can go to all my profiles. Right? It's $5 to turn you into a $5,000 opportunity. They'll be like, oh, like what? Hold on, because I have a whole course to it in regards to effective communication that you can go check out and that you can get consultations on at Griffin Speaks LLC. But we're gonna get into that later. So, because it's really not that hard, y'all. Like a lot of people, they think that there's this 10 level step complex strategy that you got to do Saturday to Sunday in a 7-day, time span of how do I get to $1 million network? How does this happen? How do you get next to this person, that person? You met this person twice. Marcel, man, teach me the game, bro. Teach me the game. What are you doing that I'm not doing? And brother, sister, listen. I'm not doing much of what you haven't been doing. It's are you strategically doing it? Because there's a difference from, and Denzel says this is technically a quote from him, but there's a difference between like motion and progress, right? You have a lot of motion, and depending upon how you look at that, you could see it as progress, but is it truly progress? Is it truly moving your brand? And it depends on what you look at the avenue or what you look at the opportunity. So here's the top 3 things that you need to gain $1 million opportunity and create $1 million wealth, because that's the end goal for my life to be different from not just meeting millionaires, billionaires, people who are well off, but when I get the opportunity, what am I going to do with it? That's the biggest thing, because it's not like, look, it's not like I'm not taking advantage of the jewels that they gave me, right? So I'm not just out here just trying to get notoriety from being next to these people or meeting them. I'm actually trying to obtain and implement from the opportunity I got from having the exchange, from having a moment, from having the network, right? I don't like wasting people's time. That's for me when it comes to how I'm building wealth and how I hope to serve you in this show, in this audio, in this book, in this writing as an orator when it comes to building it. Most people tell you they try to give you 10 steps to it. It's 3. It's 3. All right. Now, it's going to have layers of things that you need to do to it, but it's 3 main ones. So, number 1 is step 1 is identify your value, right? Because I always say, y'all know that my goal is to get you to the bag, right? To build wealth to take action and to set goals so you can get to that billion dollar lifestyle or just well off lifestyle that you dream. But the first thing that you have to identify way before you get to anything else is your value, your brand, and or your service, right? And these things are conjoined, right? That's why I said this is step one. Identify your value, brand, and service. Okay, so if I were to put it as to how I'm going to guide you, right, through step one, it would be value, of course. Because if you don't understand what it is that you say is your gift to the world, what do you say that is your value to your community, the value to the people that you say you want to serve, you want to help, you want to improve, you're going to have a polka dot version of a brand, right? It's going to be hole here, hole there, hole here, hole there, hole here, hole there. And I've gone through that phase of where like they've seen me do this, seen me do that. Now I'm able to cultivate one thing that I want people to know me for, but they know who I serve. So if I identify my value, when I say identify my value, when I talk about financial literacy, I can literally tell you, and I've literally done it, on how to make $1,000 in a day, how to make $500 a day. These are things that I've done. I've been an investor for 5 years. So here's my accreditation, right? So I've been an investor for 5 years, right? Started off long-term investing, been option trading for 3 years. But through that, I learned the value of social media marketing because I was content creator before I even became a speaker. So now I understand the properties and values of having influence and how that can lead you to money, can lead you to the bag, right? So I've said, okay, this is what I've learned. This is what I want to be my value and the people I want to serve. I want to do financial literacy because I love making money, love the opportunities that entrepreneurship gave me through money. And then I said, I want to serve the community that I come from. Like I want to serve the ones who, the way I used to wake up, this is why this is so important. This is why you need to know how to build your $1 million network to help you get away from or get out of your predicament, right? Never want to say get away from because people love their neighborhoods. People love their hoods. That's true. When I write this and when I say this, I'm saying this from a place of I want to give this value that changes your life. So when I identify that, hey, financial literacy is a vehicle that is multi-layered, it can be through real estate, it can be through stock market, it can be entrepreneurship, to create an avenue for yourself, a vehicle for yourself. How do I brand myself while saying I still want to serve my community, my hood, my trenches, as if we're using current terminology, right? How do I do that? How does that happen? So I ended up becoming a wealth mentor. I said, all right, cool. I can get out here and tell the youngest, I'm saying, hey, look, I've been through your predicament. I've been through your situation. Bro, my livelihood probably would give you nightmares for most of them people. I'm tossing and turning in beds. My living conditions is horrible. When I say horrible, they horrible. Festering everywhere. Like it was just. So how do I transform my environment? Believe and understand the value I have and brand that. Now here's my service, right? Because remember I told you step one is identify your value, brand it, and what is your service? My service is I'm a professional speaker known as the Wealth Mentor, right? So I serve and I teach. I have a stock market 101 class, stock market for beginners, because that is the vehicle that I believe that everybody can walk into. And if it wants to branch out to entrepreneurship, or even if you want to do it in conjunction with your career choice, because I do believe in careers, right? I do believe if your dream is to be a policeman, a fireman, a lawyer, a doctor, go and do that, because those are services that are going to serve and help our communities. It is not enough of doctors, lawyers, policemen, firemen. Shout out to the Black Fire Brigade as far as they do free MT class. Just a shout out, because the amount of lives that are lost in underserved communities, Black communities, and otherwise, you'll need it. So pick your career, do your thing. But here's the service, right? So this is my service. Hey, Stock Market 101. This is an avenue that you can use, do your check while you're still serving your community, while you're still doing a nurse. And I know a Black nurse who's do this. Now, for me, the other one is wealth strategies, and then again, this give you free game, right? How to build $1 million networks. People always ask me, bro, how did you? I effectively communicated my value, my service, my brand. Now, we're gonna roll into step 2. Because once you get that together, now you're prepared. Don't shoot for an opportunity and you're ill prepared for when the opportunity actually comes. You're going to waste your time. But that's what I'm here for. I'm Marcel, what's step 2? What should I do? Okay, so number 2, step 2. Identify places, events, workshops where your brand and or service aligns and adds value. So don't just go to any event and everywhere thinking that your service brand aligns or is useful in that space. I'll give you an example. I am a particular type of content creator. I do financial literacy content. If I'm doing any content, business content, like that's what my realm is. Now, could I do comedic content? Could I do like different forms of skits? I could, but it's not aligning with what it is that I do. I remember one day I was hanging out with a lot of artists, right? I was going to a lot of these open mics, and open mics I enjoy as far as being spoken word type open mics. You know what I'm saying? But I was going to events that wasn't directly aligned with my brand, and I had an actual moment. I think this is very useful when we give tangible things that can relate to people. I was standing in a room for the artists, and I'm like, yo, I've been hanging out with a lot of artists. I'm not an artist. Why am I here? Not saying that I don't love their music, neo soul, R&B, hip hop, rap, whatever it is that they're throwing down. It's an enjoyable moment for me for sure. But this isn't serving myself, nor am I finding the people I've been looking to serve, right? So if I'm looking, if my brand value and service is aligned with teaching you how to get to a bag, not to be broke, build wealth, take actions, and set goals. I'm not saying that people in the music industry don't want that. People who are artists don't want that. But most people who are at this event, right, it's going to a party and so forth, they're there to get away for a night. They're there to enjoy nightlife, right? They're not there to talk about an IRA or a Roth. They're not there to talk about the market. They're not trying to think about what to do with the paycheck because they're there to get away from whatever may have stressed them throughout the day, right? Now, when you get more money, you become less stressful. That's true. But hear me out when I say this. When you identify places, events, workshops, right? When your brand and services and value are aligned, here's what happens. The network opens. So I'll give you instances as to how this works, right? One of the key pivotal moments that I would say is an event that because I seen and it was aligned with my purpose, it worked out and I started to meet the first few tiers of which I would consider my $1 million network, right? Okay, so one of the first events was Waymakers, right? Shout out to Louis Carr and the BET family who in this journey helped this cultivation that helped my city, right? So Waymakers been going on. They had went to I think it was either California, Hollywood. They moved away from Chicago in 2025. They cultivated the event there. But the past 4 years outside of 2025, Waymakers have been in Chicago, and it's a fully free event to where the peoples of Hollywood, or the peoples of especially Black Hollywood, showed up, and you were able to cultivate, and hear from the business industry. I'm talking about pure breakdowns from Nick Cannon, Speed, D Rose, D Wade. Like what we talking? I'm talking about in front of you for free. But it was because I identified my brand, my value, and my service. I strategically and only looked for where my value is added, or where the people that I'm looking to serve, collaborate, and partner with are there. That's where I'm at. So let's go back to somebody else. So if you are a doctor, nurse, right? EMT in the medical field, I want you to build $1 million network too. Because hey, doctors deserve to be rich, right? They deserve to get high-level clients, but also serve the community, because here's the trickle effect. Because I also want to give you not just the network piece, but the added value of what happens when you have it, or what you can accomplish when you have high-level people in your network. So you're a doctor, lawyer, EMT, I would say go to events that are cultivated around healthcare, because there are high-level people who care about healthcare. There are celebrities, entertainers. There are people who are well off or have wealth who are doing initiatives in healthcare. 100%. 100%. They do initiatives in healthcare, right? So with that, once you aligned with, hey, these is the spaces and places that I want to be, you shoot, right? So then you'll get a chance to run across the people who are aligned with your vision, right? Now, here's what happened when I went to Waymaker, just to bring it back to you. 2, actually. And I've met a few people in that space, but check this out. Here's the level of the 6 degrees of separation, all while because I was focused on my path, that these things happened. All right. So I was a content creator, started off on TikTok. We cultivated this thing called content creation, externally became a part of entertainment. I got up to the fortune of like maybe 20 to 30,000 followers, somewhere in between there, to where I said, oh, okay, this thing is really taking off. I really have steam. I have some form of progress and motion, right? I have some form of, remember I told y'all earlier, right? You got progress, and I had emotion. You got motion, and I had a progress. But I had a form of motion that I said, how can I take this motion of being a content creator and turn it into progress, right? Because I want to align my brand, my identity, and my service. So I said, all right, I'm going to become a speaker. I am going to make lectures, give keynotes, and do workshops, right? And you can too with whatever your service. Now, here's how this benefits. Okay, so going back to Waymakers, right? I found this space with a lot of prominent business people, and you can learn from Nick Cannon from the business standpoint, Speed from a business standpoint, Young Dro, and Ross Mack, right? So Ross Mack, I met Ross Mack maybe like my first or second time going to Waymakers. Came up the stairs. I always do the job of this goes back to this rolls into step 3, right? So step 3 is you offer value and service to a person, right? It could be in the form of collaboration, partnership, and in return, you will get someone to speak highly of you, vouch for you when you're not in the room. Now, let me show you how this works. So I met Ross Mack, right? And I did some research. I seen that, he was a kid from the South Side or from over East. Shout out to our cousin South Side over East family. Love y'all for sure. In Chicago, he grew up on that end. He went to the stock exchange. He studied on Wall Street from New York to Chicago because Chicago also has a trading center. And he became very, very prominent, very, very well off to the point of he became a staple. And he works at Yahoo Finance. He has a Netflix documentary. His partnerships with Revolt, even to this day. Shout out to Maconomics and all the people in the Maconomics family. You know, all these labels. But I met him right at Waymakers, and it was because of Waymakers and me continuing to be on my tablet, to me to be on my purpose. Have that first wave of, okay, I met the young man. Okay, his name is Marcel Griffin. You know, Marcellus Griffin. He's into financial literacy. Okay, cool. I seen him at Waymakers. Now, the places that you be speaks volumes to the people that you want to connect with. So, whoever is a predominant figure, celebrity, or whoever, in whatever field, like if you want to do violence prevention, right? To give you another example, and reform. Wallow, shout out to Wallow because I met Wallow. He's very big on reform, and so is Meek Mills. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm saying for those who are true to their purpose, identity, value, brand, and service, you're going to meet the people who are really about what you're doing, and then some people are going to be high level. So let me say that first. Don't just go um trying to meet these predominant people and you are not about why they are really there. Because Wallow really is about reform when it comes to the amount of incarcerations. If you read his book, uh, Armed with Good Intentions, and you know, you paid attention to his backstory. Again, I told you, do your research on the people that you want to partnership, collaborate once you identify your brand, right? And you go to these events and you cultivate that. This is very, very important. Because they're going to test to see what is the length of your knowledge on why you're here. What do you know outside of what you say you can offer? And then we cultivate that. That is very, very important. So going back to the Ross Mac, I meet him and I meet Andre Hayes, who is a high level, wealthy real estate investor and developer now currently at the time that this is written and spoken on. So, and this is how it happened. Because when you go into those spaces, people are there because they're like, hey, this is a place that was cultivated to do collaborations, to do partnerships, to let the people who are trying, men and women in this world, come up. Let me offer my value, offer my opportunity, because this is what our people fight for and live for. And if I become that vehicle or that person, let me give it to you. Right. So what did I do? I said, hey, I've been into real estate in regards to being a financial person, an entrepreneur. I would love to have you come on a show that I was airing at the time. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it. We met up at the studio. I added value, made sure that, hey, if I'm going to have a high level person, I'm going to bring high level equipment and really make this a thing. Right. So that way, when it drops, I've given perception added to my identity and my brand that, hey, I do things at a high level, right? That was an entrepreneur tip for you as you build this $1 million network. This is very important. Hopefully, y'all writing this down, get you some notes because I'm just giving the game. All right. So, met Andre Hayes. He's a real estate developer, right? Real estate investor, multimillionaire, right? And this is very key. This is very true as far as 6 degrees separation, which is crazy, right? Now, I ended up collaborating because at the time when I met all these people, I was an independent activist, independent advocate for the change in my community, and I seen a group of boys off to the off to the side, and I was like, who is that? Who's that organization? Who was them? And they was one band, one sound, like Drumline, right? Shout out Nick Cannon. We're gonna get to that, which is crazy, right? I've seen Nick Cannon twice. He gives a lot of game as a growing entrepreneur and a serial entrepreneur who, in his own right, can be labeled as a mogul, but he doesn't get credit for it. So I seen Champsville mentor, and I was like, yo, they're they're really adamant, determined, and on one alignment and one mission when it comes to serving the community. Okay, cool. I want to do that. I want to join them. They see it, and I seen them do it on the south side of Chicago. Being the south side, and I see that they really trying to impact the kids that they come across at a high level and continue to do it at a high level. Oh, I'm joining them with no problem, right? So that was another layer of when you serve, when you come in and you really be about it, your network can grow. That was another extension, right? So now, when I say offer value, offer service to the person that you want to form collaborations, partnerships with, and in return, you'll get someone who will vouch for you, right? Speak highly of you when you're not in the room. Here's how these things cultivate, okay? So, right, me Ross Mack, me Andre Hayes, right? I been following Wallow and his story for the longest, and I've been doing my activism for a while as well. So he went out and he wrote his book called Armed with Good Intentions, right? And he wanted to do a book tour, right? He went all around the city, and it just so happened he was stopping in Chicago. Now, Wallow ended up cultivating things and hearing about the activism and the community work. So he wanted to see some of the people, and he ended up coming to a Born to Win conference, right? So I met Wallow like twice, to be honest. And when I seen this in real time, which is why, like, when I say I've seen these people gives up in real time with my own eyes, I said, I know that there's value there that I can learn from that person. And I remember right before, like, I officiated everything, which is why I always tell you, be prepared and identify your value, your service, and your brand. I said, hey, this is what I want to do. What do I need to come in alignment, or I need to get together in order to make this change and be a servant leader, as we say in Champs Mentoring, to my community? He says, bro, you have to really, really get your ducks in a row. It's on video, but this is the 360 degree, right? He says, get your ducks in a row from your operation agreement, from your officiated LLC, articles of incorporation, from who's doing your taxes to your payment system. Those hold all those things in line, because when people call on you for the opportunity, you need to be 100% prepared and in the line. Like I said before, I said, okay, Wallo, I got you. And he wrote in my book and he said, keep going. Now, another extension, which is crazy on a 360 tip, is another brother I met named Carter Mackey, which is the owner of Black Men Smile, right? Now, Black Men Smile was a clothing brand. I was very big on just, building and supporting Black clothing brands, because I think that they are just as valuable as any other name brand that you like to see in the world. Gucci's, yada, 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 whatever those high brands. Black Men Smile is equivalent to me, right? Ken Apparel is equivalent to me. So what ends up happening, right, as I'm building my identity, building to my value, building to the services that I want to offer, I start following this group of intelligent men from Wall Street, Tropic of Matt to MT the mortgage guy, which I just ended up calling him Matt, but I just followed all these men, right? And Trap is a whole nother story, which is crazy. But so this rolls back into, who did I tell you? Ross Mack, right? And I'm gonna stay right here. So I've been following Earn Your Leisure for a while, watching Market Mondays faithfully every Monday that they dropped, right? And I'd seen that they started to go on tour, right? And they were doing free events. They were out in Wisconsin. They came to Chicago. I have so much to offer in this book, but this is what I'm telling you, right? It pays to stay in alignment and go to events that fit your brand, your service, your purpose, your value. Stay there, and everything else will come back to you, because God will lead it. So It's Market Mondays tour. They did the worldwide tour, Market Mondays. And I always believe that. Now, remember, there are opportunities where you can meet these people for free. This is very true. But I also say when it comes to if you want to build $1 million network, you need to be in places where millionaires are. Sometimes that will, because you're trying to get the value that they don't just always give out for free. You're trying to not only get the opportunity to meet them face to face, and that's what VIPs and things of that nature is for, right? That's what that is for. Those are the opportunities that want. If you have your identity value, your brand, and your service on point, you never know what that exchange can be and will be. All right, so check this out. I go because they were stopping in my city, and it's just ironic, or it's God-given blessing. I'll put it like that. That Chicago is the city that I was born in, that I was raised in. It's a predominant city in the United States. So look at the draw, but it's a nearby city of just like, so even if you was from Indiana, bro, even if you was from Wisconsin, or let's say, like, you know how they always talk about Texas, even if you was from Arkansas, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's always look into the opportunities of your neighbor right next door. Sometimes you got to drive. I done drove for opportunities as well, building my $1 million network. But getting back to the good parts, right? The parts that you want to read about. So check out how this happened. So Market Mondays goes on tour, and they're doing a worldwide tour. 19 Keys pulls up because after they 19 Keys, and Rashad did his iconic monologue of, effective ways of networking and things of that. I think he did like 10 steps. But that night, I said they were doing a meet and greet. So what did I do? I wanted to meet them, and it did two things. I got a picture that I can advertise for the current podcast that I was doing at the time, and I get 2 minutes, right? So this is why we always tell you practice your elevator pitch, right? So these are the things that are going to go into your elevator pitch: your value, your brand, your service. Boom. All right. So now I meet them. Guess who's in the meet and greet arena, right? Guess who's in the space? Nobody other than Ross Mack. Now, check this out. This wasn't too far in between from the Waymakers Summit, where I met Ross Mack, to now, when we're talking about the Market Mondays tour. So there's a correlation of, hold on, young man. This is the second time I've seen you in a high-level space, in a high-level place, with high-level people. Shout out to 19 Keys. You done marked it. But this is the second time. So either it was meant for me to really lock in with you and meet you, and it just so happened that you from the city, because Ross Mack is from Chicago, and they say that you're hungry. Because anybody who's made it at a high level, they honor, they respect, they have a form of love for the grinder, right? The underdog, because that was them. It was like, bro, I fought to get up here, and to see that you coming back, I done seen you twice, 3, 4, 5 times in the same space as to where I cultivate. Okay, you really want it. You're not playing. That's where it speaks. You start to give yourself accreditation by at least saying, while you're on your way, I'm serious about the craft, the industry that you've seen me step in. So when it comes to everybody in the medical field, bro, I keep seeing you at the high-level medical conferences. You want to learn from the high-level people that you meet, that you read about, and they keep seeing you. It says to them that you take this serious. And anyone who takes it serious, they say, I want to take you serious, right? So now, I meet Ross Mack, and I meet Troy Rashad and Ian all at the same time. Meet all of them, great brothers, always offered a lot of value. Awesome. Fast forward the next year. studying in regards to me personally, but you can layer this to your own life. Start studying my craft. For me, it was financial literacy. Again, still watching Market Mondays, doing trading, reading books, so forth and so on. In the courses in EYL, shout out to Red Panda, like truly studying, right? Entrepreneurship, financial literacy in a nutshell. And Ross Mack does a wealth summit, right? And lo and behold, who is coming to the wealth summit? Now, check this out. I didn't even get to the part of in that same year after they went on the Market Mondays tour, I went to InvestFest. So I go to InvestFest. This is the year prior. So I go to InvestFest, and I think this is either the year with Tyler Perry or the year with Sean Combs. One of those two. But I go to InvestFest and I see the impact. I get all the knowledge, right? Following year, and I had been supporting them the entire time. They'll see it, they'll like it. Because for those who are content creators, when you get to a certain level and tier, you see the people who's been following you for a while, and the true fans, the true community that you build. Because I really don't like calling them fans. The community that you build is your top supporters. Like even myself, I have a community of people who I always see, comment, like, share on my posts, and I know they really rock what it is that I want to give to the world, right? And vice versa, right? So this shows your dedication to them and that you see that they have value, right? I'm telling you guys to drop the dimes because I'm giving you a lot in this one lit, in this one go. Keep up. So Ross sees me, you know what I'm saying? He sees my own work that I'm putting in. He doing the Wealth Summit. Now, remind you, I told you, this is always in alignment with purpose, driven, passion, and consistency. Right? I got an award for consistency somehow. I right before the Ross Mac Wealth Summit, I wanted to use the vehicle of podcasting to elevate the voice and the services that I wanted to offer. Lo and behold, who comes to my city? These wonderful guys, one brother who is from Chicago, Carter Cofield, and the other brother, George. And my phone on me. But Carter and George were the founders and creators of Melanin Money. Remember, I'm staying in the spaces and the places and even in the ears or listening on podcasts, all the people who fit in what it is that I want to do in the space that I want to be and the entrepreneur that I want to be. They do uh, a podcast tour. Guess who comes to the podcast tour in collaboration? So I be Carter, be George, right? Chop it up with them. Chicago people. We do the Midwest thing, Chicago thing. Bam. That's a connection. That's the link. David Shands of Social Proof Podcast. And I ended up meeting them, right? Of course, sometimes these tiers of paying for access. David Shands is going to come up and you're going to see how the 360 works in a wild way. Me, David Shands, I take his podcasting course. So like all the setup, the Yachty mic, camera views, the editing, straight out of David Shands playbook. That if you do this part right here, David Shands playbook, 100%. So I meet David. He gives me his jewels that I needed to hear at the time, right? Don't just make content, make things that make sense, do value, right? Because then what are you doing? I'm here to sauce this up so you don't waste your time. Okay. So Ross Mack goes and creates the Wealth Summit. Now remember, I told y'all what was my value, brand, and service. Value was I'm here to serve under my value was I'm here to serve the underserved community, especially in Chicago and all places around the nation. Because I study financial literacy, I study entrepreneurship, I study business, and I seen that this is a real vehicle and there's multi layers to this vehicle, but we can get somewhere. We can come out of the trenches, we can come out of the hood. This is really possible. I've really done it. I've really seen the extradition and climbed up from a person who's has what you classified as like, bro, I got a high school diploma, bro, and I have a high-end 6-figure employment. I've had promotions, got awards, and I'm striving as an entrepreneur. Come on now, what we talking about? So I know we can make it. Now, in that I said I wanted to find young youth that I can make sure understand that same value. So I did a sponsorship. People take seriously people. Serious people take serious people serious. Now, here's what happened externally from that. God blesses those who want to bless others, right? Do not do this out of vain because God will know the difference. That's another tidbit for you. So I say, yo, Raw, what's up, bro? Oh man, what's up, bro? How you been? I ain't seen you since Waymakers, Market Mondays. It's around the city. Hey, I seen you was doing the Wealth Summit. You already know we both about financial literacy. We both about changing the way. I want to add to what you're doing. Hey, I want to sponsor some kids. I've made so much money in the market. Shout out to Market Mondays, Troy and Rashad. I want to show them by giving back. Sponsoring group of 10 kids. Bow. Food paid for, bow. Because these people have changed my perspective. I got to be the one to pay it forward, right? Got you, bro. Back. Here's what happens. Now, mind you, I was already going to go to Invest Fest. God bless me so much. In that same weekend, guess who's coming to my city? Troy, Rashad, Ian, Matt, Carter, George. What? Melanin Money and Market Mondays. What coming to my city? And they come and support my bro, Ross. I get the opportunity when a lot of people, I never take these things for granted, but I also understand, hey, yo, I'm meeting them. Let me get in the room and see the immense amount of value that they're adding to this. I meet Ian again. I meet Carter again. Lo and behold, we get a chance to sit and really chop it up with Carter to this day. I get to go, spoiler alert, backstage because I'm building what? $1 million network. Because who have I added value to? Who have I shown that I'm serious about what I want to build? Ross Mack. And who's he been? Wealth Summit. But I'm getting blessed because I'm blessed and I'm identifying, step one, my value, my brand, and my service. So by the time I get to step 3, I told y'all it was going to be 3 things. By the time I get to who am I offering the value to, who am I offering the service to the person that I'm looking for, high level or whatever, to do the collaboration with or do the partnerships with. And in return, they vouch for me in spaces I am not. They say high praises because they understand I was serious because I proved to them first that I was serious. Boom. Me, Ian, reach Troy, me, Rashad. But also solidify, like, bro, this is what I really do. I'm serious about my craft. I really do this. Me, Ian, me, Carter. Again, we chop it up. I stay connected with them. Matt David. Boom. Right. So now I'm solidified in this circle, in this 6 degrees of separation. Meet all these high level people. and Neo like twice. I ended up because where did I need to cultivate my message when I wanted to transfer from becoming a content creator to a speaker? Where do you think I went? Who do you think I looked for? This is all following purpose, passion, and service. Me being a servant leader. Who else you gonna go to the next level and you meet ET and I'm talking about I really learn from them. I don't take nothing they give me for granted. I serve it right to the point where now I'm 10xing it. Right. So I meet ET, meet Jeremy Anderson, and ET by Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. To give you a formal introduction. Thank you, my big brother. So I meet them, right? Get the training from them, get the service, we go. Now, check this out. Here's what happens later, because all these things that I'm learning from my mentors, right? So with podcasting, Javis Shans, Jeremy Anderson, ET, these turning points of marketing, speaking, effective communication while building this $1 million network. Here's what happens. See me in the community. They see me at these events, right? I'm getting my motion, getting on big shows, right? Shout out to Grego in regards to the extension of how you can use different forms of motion to create progress. Because, and I'm going to put this in because it's valued in the $1 million network. I made a name for myself so much to the point where I made enough connections that someone offered me an opportunity to be on a true depiction story in the era of content creation known as Surviving Chicago, and 2 series, right? Or 2 seasons. So recurring, right? I was a recurring character on one of the top 3 shows in the content creation world, a YouTube series that airs on Tubies that are going to become movies. And externally, it gave me notoriety across the city. It extended the notoriety that I had, right? Because I built this $1 million network. Now, 2025, because I want to put this all in a bow for you. 2025. I had doing all this work. I prepared my value. I prepared my brand. I prepared my service. I went out, stayed aligned with the places, events, workshops, with my brand, service were all aligned, my value added, all those things were conjoined. They stayed in circle. And I got to this point. Earn Your Leisure was like, hey, if you want, and all these things I kept pushing because I had the courage and understood what I added, right? To myself. That's all you deserving this opportunity because you put all these hours, work, days, nights, sweats into this. Go for it. You got it. You got it. You got the training from ET. Any stage you on, virtually or in person, you got it. What we talking about? So when God presents you the opportunity and Earn Your Leisure says, hey, if you want to come on the show and voice your opinion about the structure of these global supermarkets, right? Like Target or Kohl's or whatever the case is, and say with the uproar and the whole DEI and where should we go, voice your opinion if you feel you got the accreditation. Not only did I know Brother for Black Menswear who had their cultivation, they spoke about it publicly. I seen it in February. So yeah. Send my info in, send my commentary. Remind you, 6 degrees of separation. I'm not saying because they know me is the reason why they brought me up. It's also I really believe this. It is driven by the Almighty when He watches you go for your dream, your purpose, and things that are part of your goals. Keep telling y'all, I'm here to teach you how to get to a bag. It's more than one way than just having physical money in your hand. A bag is this $1 million network. I'm telling you, I'm literally telling you in real time how to build wealth, take actions, and set goals. I'm literally telling you the source. Put my information in. They say, Marcel, I got you. Hey, yo, Prince, I got you. Then pull up on this date, this time. You coming on at this time. I am literally to this day, the time that this is written and the time of the year in 2025. I am the only what you would quote unquote the regular attendees that if you are not classifying yourself as a 7-figure, 6-figure, high-level entrepreneur who has already independently been on their show, I am the only what you call guest attendee that has been on Blackout Outside of them celebrities. Nick Cannon's episode. Crazy 360, right? Nick Cannon's been featured in Waymakers in my city every year. What is we talking about? Now, what does that do for me? Visibility. Now, everybody has seen that. Hey, yo, that's Marcel that do the money thing and talk about the wealth, and he be mentoring and he come on Blackout. Oh, Blackout. I made an appearance. You know how many tags I got? And I cultivated. People started saying, oh, I need to watch him. I need to follow him. Who is he? From the opportunity. Now, what happens with the opportunity? Notoriety, people calls. I'm prepared to say, this is what I do. Now that you paid attention, how can I offer service? How can we build? How can I make some money? Right? Now, once you got into this point, right? And I want to shout out one of my other mentors because I think this story also is cultivated because that's one of the things that happened to me. And in 2024, I went to Jeff, who's the CEO of Event Noir. He did a curator summit, right? Which is somewhat aligned because I started out as a content creator. So a lot of people, some people who know me now and see me now, sometimes forget that. So sometimes I still think like a content creator, right? I still just be on the fly making content because this is literally how I was birthed. And that was the literal focal point. So sometimes I just go because that's how we start. Trust me, I know. And I ended up meeting Jamal Walker or Jay Measy. And he was a person who cultivated events. And I said, bet I need to learn from you. I've done some events here and there. And again, I understood my value. I set myself in places, spaces where I think that these things can be cultivated, nurtured, and hopefully get collaborations from. And what ended up happening? I ended up collaborating with him, right? I ended up being able to sit and get a chance to not only meet a person who is a 7-figure, 8-figure type of earner, and has changed his life, not just so happened to be from my city, but he also looks like me. And he was able to pour into me, and I really, really got that, right? Kept the relationship going, really throw an event. And I have to throw this in here just because we're talking about an event. And this goes back to the way that your $1 million network stays tight, it stays together, is because you have to stay on path, purpose, and what you were driven and why you wanted to do all these things. You stay there, you everything else is truly going to come to align. And here's a notion to that. I seen this documentary from Charles Blow. Shout out Charles Blow. It was called South to Black Power. And it was ironic because it was something that involved in my city too. The CEO of Rage Inglewood. CEO of Rage Inglewood was in the documentary. Now, a lot of people don't believe these things, but I really do these things. Just like when I did my appearance on Blackout, I tried. I told y'all that in one of the other episodes. Literally, bro, you have to try. You have to start. Do not let others who sabotage your image, who tried to make you think that you are less or not worthy of the opportunities that God has put in front of you, do that. Like, I'm like, for real. I said, oh, I'm passionate about this project. I wanted to cultivate an event that not only makes the black dollar stay in the room, not just the block, stay in the room for a day. Linked up with Black owned Caribbean business at the time they were called Maroon Kitchen. Paid for them to cater. Pay for the event. I ain't even talk about this. You never know this. I keep saying this: 6 degrees of separation when you're cultivating your purpose. So I reached out to her. She does. This is the truth, y'all. She don't know me at this time. I'm not like a household name. Yeah, I have some views, but I'm not like a name. So CEO of Rage, who's in the documentary that I want to do a group discussion about screening, I said, hey, would you be a part of my event? Because I would love to get your perspective because it's pinnacle. It's pinnacle. I am for the view of Charles Blow, which is the power that we have can be cultivated in the South, because that's where a majority of us as Black Americans, but probably even predominantly in the 13%, if you're adding up all Black people who are deemed in African descent, sit there, yeah, I'm that view, yada yada. And you're opposing, I would love to get you sitting truly. Let's have this discussion. Now, it went pretty well. But guess who's sitting in the crowd who I didn't know? I didn't know how predominant this person was. It as of today, he's the educator on a board of education for Chicago, known as Rhyme Fest, right? I believe he's a doctor as well. He's sitting in front of me and watching me perform. 360 from that point on, it's Rhyme Fest. What's up, brother? Because he's seen me cultivate this in real time. Sit there. Watch me. And now, when Rhyme Fest is at XL Film Fest, I ain't even tell. I might have to. I'm gonna cultivate this for y'all, and I'm gonna end here. I mastered these top 3 things to build a network that is literally worth $1 million. When I went to Invest Fest at the end of 2025, the first person I see on that Friday is Troy Mullen, in all white jumpsuit. Probably Nike fit. It looked like the Nike fit. Might have been Adidas. And we not only have I been supporting the brand, I've been on the show. And I've used the information that they sent me from back then to now to pay for full trips from trading. 2024 Invest Fest straight off options. Whole trip. Pay for this year tax advantage. Shout out Carter. The NVIDIA trade. Shout out Ian. 97. Got in at 97.5. Oh man, cultivate $1 million relationships that not only paid in real money, but paid in value, paid in opportunity. So when I say these are the top 3 things you need, all the extra stuff I done gave you to give you $1 million opportunity and create you $1 million wealth, because it's not just the money. It's about how you cultivating the opportunity and the people you serve when you get the money. It's 9 times out of 10. Quote me on this one. You build the $1 million network that opens up the $1 million opportunity for you to get the $1 million bag that you want, for you to get that wealth that you want. That's how that's going to work. So when y'all see me all these other places, yeah, I've been putting in this work, but I'm telling you, bro, it ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. You just got to really want it and be strategic. Do not put yourself out here with it. Remember, I told you about the story. I was hanging out with artists, and I ain't no artist. I'm not an artist. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't do none of that. I enjoy it. I rock with it, but I have to realize I have to pivot the events, workshops, and places that I'm at. And are they aligning with what I want to be and see? That's all I'm saying.